Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Arizona Coyotes franchise mode here in NHL 22. So in last episode, we took on the Minnesota Wild in the first round of the playoffs, and as you can see, they went on to win the Stanley Cup, and we got unfortunately eliminated in 5 games just like we did the year before. So we have been kind of taking a couple steps back after going to that Stanley Cup finals, which really sucks. But hopefully this team can kind of get together and be better for the upcoming season again. I'm really hoping that we can keep most of the team together, and then hopefully we could add a few new pieces to the team in free agency or via trade and all that type of thing. Because like our offense and stuff like that in that series was really abysmal. It could be because Connor Hellebuyck was really good against us, and it could be because the team that we were facing was a very deep team. Like I think I actually even said before we faced them in the series that I think they could go on to win the Stanley Cup, and they did just that. So I don't really know if it was our team's fault that we lost that, or it's just because we ran into a very tough team that we lost that series. But I'll show you quickly again the player stats. As you can see, barely anybody picked up any points in the series. There's a couple guys with 3 points, but literally everybody was pretty quiet for the most part in those 5 games. And then you also had some players with really bad plus minus, like Agostino was terrible. He was a -8 in 5 games, which is really not the type of player he normally is. Because if we look at his prior playoff stats, you could see he had like 3 assists in 5 games, 19 points in his first like full playoff run, 12 points in 7 games. Like he's usually a really good playoff player, but this last year he was really quiet, and so was the rest of the team. So yeah, I'm hoping that this team could kind of find their footing again for next season, and maybe next season we actually have to make a deadline trade in order to win the Stanley Cup, because it seems like for some reason if you don't make trades, it like makes your chances of winning a Stanley Cup go down or something. I feel like that's kind of scripted into the game because I've had that happen before in other series before this. So anyways, before we get into the draft and the re-sign stage, we do have one comment to go over, and that is from HawksFan88. He says, definitely a tough way to go out. That said, I think Kagorodov should definitely be your first pick. So let's take a look at what Kagorodov looks like, because I didn't really take a whole lot of looks at this draft class because I haven't been on this franchise mode in a few days again. I am recording this on the Wednesday ahead of time just because on Thursday there's an update for NHL 22, and I won't be able to download that update until like after like late in the day. So I thought I would record this a little bit early. But he said Kagorodov, who, let's see, where are you, Kagorodov? There he is. I pinned him, actually. This guy, yeah, he looks like a pretty good player. 4 years away, no weakness. He might end up being like a medium top 9 or something like that, but I really hope he's that low elite type of player, so we'll definitely take him with our pick, even though it is kind of looks like a little bit early, because he looks like he's supposed to go in the second round, but I will take him with our first round pick, just because we don't really know a whole lot about a lot of these other guys. And I feel like this draft class might not be that great of a draft class, considering this guy, maybe he's a bottom 6 and going in the first round. I doubt he is, but that would be pretty crazy. So yeah, that's that. Also, for contract-wise, up this offseason, I thought I would show you guys again just in case you guys forget. But as you can see, we got some pretty big contracts to deal with this offseason. The biggest one being Barrett Hayden, who just coming off a 5-year deal, I think it was, or something. We also got to get like Noah Dobson back, Sam Rukov. I think I'm pretty much going to bring back everybody on this team. The only one I'm definitely going to be letting go of for sure on the NHL roster is Jeremy Swayman. And you guys might be wondering why I dropped Swayman after he had 40 wins in the regular season. Well, his playoff numbers were terrible. It could be because, once again, we faced a really good team. But he's just never been really that good of a playoff goalie, and because also our goaltender in Pettersson is an 82 now, and I would like to use him potentially as a starter for next season. So yeah, Swayman is probably going to be on his way out, and then we'll just sign another goalie to play with Pettersson, I think. And yeah, hopefully that goalie could help us out a little bit in terms of the playoffs and whatnot too. So anyways, let's get into this draft and re-sign stage, and hopefully we can keep most of this team together again, and hopefully next season will be better than the last two, because those last 2 seasons are kind of write-offs. Like, we should have been a way better team than we were, because we had like over 50 wins, and we were out in the first round both times, and both to the Minnesota Wild, which is not good. So yeah, let's get into this draft and see if we could snag up Kagorodov, unless he decides to go earlier than what our spot is. But we should have, what pick is it? We probably have like 20-something, right? I did assume. Yeah, we have 25th because we had 50 wins in the regular season, so that's not great. But yeah, hopefully we can still get a good prospect in, at least for the system. Hopefully somebody with a decent overall so they could come into the lineup in a few seasons. So New Jersey at number 1 is going to take Fiddler, who is a medium elite power forward. Looks pretty solid. Couple X factors as well. And he's only 17 years old. Looks like a pretty good player for New Jersey. Should be interesting to see how he plays out. Tulipov goes to Chicago. 78 two-way forward. So yeah, this is a little bit of a weak draft class, it looks like, overall-wise. But there is the good potentials, obviously. And also this guy has a lot of X factors. So this guy might be a really good player for Chicago. The Islanders at number 3 are going to take Hedstrom, who's a 72 high top 4. So that's a little bit of a weak pick to take at 3rd overall. And this guy only has shutdown, apparently. Interesting. Kind of weird of a player to go 3rd overall. Wonder how this guy's career is going to unfold, considering he's a DFD as well. And then Dallas at number 4 takes the 81 sniper medium elite in Biega. Seems like always whoever has the 3rd overall pick takes like a really bad player. At least the last few years. And always like the 4th and 5th pick are better than like the 2nd pick sometimes even. And then Vancouver takes an 80 medium elite in Dahl. Interesting. Let's sum up to our pick at number 25 and see if we could get Kagorodov, which I think we can. He should be still down here. Yep, there he is. Let me just make sure these other players aren't that good though first before we take Kagorodov, but more likely we're still going Kagorodov. So yeah, some of these other guys we really don't know much about. Like a lot of them don't look that great. Like this guy could be a 7th D. This guy's a top 60. This guy could be a bottom 6 forward. Like I don't want to really take any of those guys because they don't really look that good. Well, Kagorodov could be a low elite. I don't know for sure because he does have looks like really good shooting and puck skills potentially. But his other stats don't look that good, but it's guaranteed that he has no weakness, so those might not actually be that bad. And this guy also has leadership ability and puck protection more than likely, so he could be a good captain for the future, who knows. So welcome aboard Mikhail Kagorodov from Russia. He is a low elite sniper, let's go, 62 overall. That's a pretty good pick. And he does have X factors as well, which I was not expecting because I don't think our scout actually said that he had any X factors. But he has 1 T, so he could definitely get off some good one-timers like Alex Ovechkin, maybe magnetic all-alone snipe and beauty backhand. So this guy's going to be a really good goal scorer, and I'm very excited to see what he could do for this team in the near future. Now, one thing that is a little bit weird is he does have really weird attributes, so I don't know how he's going to simulate. Like, he's got good shooting categories, like power-wise or accuracy-wise, actually. Good passing, but his offensive awareness is a 63. So this guy might simulate really weirdly, but he does got X factors. He is a low elite, so we'll see how he develops after 1 year of growth. Hopefully he becomes like a 78 by next season. That'd be really nice. Okay, our 2nd round pick now, because we've been wasting a bit of time talking. And there's another low elite. We're going to definitely take this guy, I guess. Didn't even realize there was another low elite. No weakness, 3 years away like that he's only 17 as well. Solid shooter, solid senses. Everything else is pretty average. But apparently has magic hands, elite speed, and a 200-foot game. So this guy could have some X factors. These aren't guaranteed, but if he does have those X factors, this guy's also a very good steal. So welcome aboard Jackson Mcintyre from the United States. And he's a low elite 63 overall. Does he have X factors? Yes, he does. Holy shit. He has a full thing of X factors. Wow. Okay, we're having a really good draft so far. This guy's 6'5", 198, which is kind of an interesting build. Here's his attributes. He does actually have really good offensive awareness, but his passing and stuff aren't that good, which is kind of weird. But look at this. He has quick pick as his zone ability, beauty backhand, stick him up, elite edges, tape to tape, and yoink. So we just got 2 really good players for our future, and we're stacking up on those low elites like we did, I think, last offseason, if I'm not mistaken, or a few years ago. We got like 4 or 5 low elites in the same draft, and so far we have 2 in the first 2 rounds. Let's go to our 3rd round pick here, because we are taking his draft a little bit slower, I guess, because of all these low elites. This guy might be a low elite. Is he, though? No weakness, again, guaranteed. Do I take another guy that could be a low elite? Probably. Just because I want to stack up on low elites? Maybe. Or is Sweeney a guaranteed low elite? Probably not. I think we might go with Jason Sims here. There's also Howard Ellis, but he kind of has some weaknesses. Antilla, also 3 years away. It looks like a teammate, actually. No, never mind. Not a teammate of Jason Sims. Both playing in the Liga, but both having similar looking teams. Yeah, let's go with Jason Sims. Why not? And look at that, low top 6, so not a low lead, but still pretty solid. 61 overall. This has not been that bad of a draft actually so far. Like, I thought this draft class was not going to be that good, but it seems like it has some good depth to it. Third round, we still have another pick in the third round. I forgot we had some from trades I think we made before. Barinka, no weakness, and is a guaranteed top 9 power forward. That might not be bad. What else we got here? No weakness, which is kind of intriguing, but probably not that great still. This guy looks pretty good. This guy could be a low lead as well. No weakness, and his obviously that stats and stuff like that aren't accurate, but if it is accurate, that's pretty good of a player. Yeah, you know what? We're going to just take this guy because I feel like this guy could be good, but I don't know for sure, obviously, because our scouts didn't fully scout him. So, even though there is a farmer available, we're going to go for Vorobev and see how good he is. Medium top 9, two-way forward, 58 overall, so a little bit of a lower overall than I liked, but this guy might be a solid AHL player at some point if he develops well. We go to the fourth round. I believe we have a couple more picks still left in this draft because we don't usually trade away our picks that often, but eventually we might have to because we got way too much prospects. 5 years away. Looks like the draft class has dropped off a lot in terms of quality. This guy lacks size. Looks like a really bad goalie. Probably a fringe starter or a backup. Yeah, I think the draft class has just dropped off in quality considerably. This guy has no weakness, so we'll just take him. Even though we've been taking a ton of forwards, might as well take him anyways. Low top 9, 57 overall playmaker. Maybe he becomes something, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just becomes trade bait. There's a guaranteed bottom 6 forward, so yeah, it looks like this draft class is definitely dropping off now. This guy looks like he could be decent, but once again, we don't know for sure. He is 20 years old. He's 6'5", 225, but he has the name of Tiny, which is kind of cool. He could be also an enforcer, which would be neat, but I don't know if he will. Yeah, you know what? We're going to take this guy just because his name's Tiny and he's a big guy. It's kind of contradicting. He's a defensive defenseman, but yeah, he's a pretty good player, I guess, to an extent. Low top 6D. Might be a DFD in the AHL. He's that solid overall. But he is 20, I think it said, right? So maybe not. Maybe he won't become something good. Chera. The defenseman with the name Chera, and he's 6'5", 232. This is definitely the son of Zdeno Chera. You never know. Is that Brian Southerby? Or no, Brendan Southerby, never mind. A lot of 20-year-olds in this draft now. Yeah, this draft class has definitely dropped off. Let's just sort by potential. Maybe a low lead here, but probably not. Yeah, I honestly don't know what we want to go with for the rest of our picks. We might just take Chair for the memes. Yeah, you know what? We'll take Chair for the memes. Add a little bit more defensive prospects in, but some of those guys probably won't even get signed, but might as well take them anyways. And in our last pick, do we just take a bottom 6 power forward? Maybe in Albert Rizzi. No weakness, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, you know what? We're just going to take this guy because we don't know enough about this draft class to just find somebody else. And he's a medium bottom 6 power forward, 52 overall, so more than likely won't make it to the NHL, but still, there's another pick and a pretty solid draft, I would say, especially with those 2 low leads in Rodolph and McIntyre. And then the rest of the picks kind of up in the air in determining if they're actually going to make the NHL or not, or AHL actually for that matter. But still a good draft for us for the most part. Hopefully some of those guys get crack into the lineup within a few years. And we got some AHL coaches to get back, which I definitely will re-sign them because I believe didn't our AHL win the Calder Cup in last episode? I can't even remember. I think they did. So we'll try and get our coaches back for down there in the minors because the minor league team is definitely important to the team's future. And we will get back our one scout that needs to be re-signed, which is a German scout in Mr. Casper. Or actually, it's a female, Jana Casper, so Miss Casper. Or Mrs. And now we got to get into this re-sign stage, which I don't think is going to be too problematic. We only have $28 million in cap space, so it's not a lot of room to work with, but we don't have any huge contracts to really deal with, except for, I'd say, these 3. But yeah, let's start off with Barrett Hayden because he's the big one out of the bunch. He wants 9.9 for 1 year, which I think I'm okay with giving him for 1 year. I don't want to give him too much term, so I am going to give him, 1 year deal. Does he want to come back? Yes, he does. So maybe I could get him for a little bit less to 9.9. I'm going to try and give him 9.5 for 1 year, just because we could definitely use him back. Just because the statistical growth that Farinacci's had, he's dropped back down to an 84, so I don't really know if we have the center depth to let go of Hayden with. So Dobson is probably also important. He wants 5 million. Let me try and get him for 4.9. I might be able just to give everybody back what they exactly want. Sam Marukov wants a lot of term, which I don't really like. But I don't mind keeping him around for a few years. So I'm going to give him a 2-year deal and see if I could get him to like 4.6. Which might be a bit expensive, but eventually we could probably trade him away if need be. And then Tracy's relatively cheap, so I'm going to keep signing him for like 1 year because he's not a bad player to have on our fourth line, at least during the regular season. Braden Schneider, $2 million. He barely played in the NHL, and you want $2 million already. Let's do a 1-year deal since he would still be an RFA. I could qualify him, and I'm going to give him 1 year at 1.9. That's not bad. Connor Clifton I'm also going to let go of for now because he was just a depth pickup, so he's not really that mandatory to bring back for now. We could always bring him back in free agency, but he is getting old, so he could drop off. So I'll let him go for now. Sopolyov's definitely coming back. He's a solid depth option, or maybe even a fourth line option at sometimes. We are going to let go of Forte because he was dropping due to morale as being a depth forward, so I'm going to let him walk to free agency. Emil Schulz and Varlamov are definitely both coming back because those guys I do want to use in our lineup if I can next season. One of them might not be able to play in our lineup because of the reasoning that we have a lot of forwards still signed. But I will sign Varlamov back up for another year, considering he still will be an RFA, I think. And then we'll just qualify pretty much everybody else that's in the AHL. Sasaki's going to get signed to his ELC, which is intriguing because he could be in the AHL next year. And he's already 75 at 20. And obviously he does have a lot of X factors, so I'm very excited to see what he could do if he is in the AHL this upcoming season. And let me actually just go over to the RFA screen so it's a little bit easier. Let's just qualify all these AHL players. And then we'll also have to see who else we got to sign for the AHL. Krstanovich, goalie-wise, there's nobody. UFA-wise, we got some prospects. Dalmau I want to sign, I think, because he's a little elite. I don't know if he's going to pan out really, but I'll still sign him. Silverberg, low top 6, was a third rounder. He does have some good offensive awareness, but don't really know if he's going to be anything huge. I might sign him since we probably have the contract space. I will definitely let go of Simmons, though, in Carlton because they're not going to be anything. I'm going to give, I think, Silverberg is ELC. Give him a shot. See if he could help us out in the AHL. Also in the AHL, we are going to be letting go of Tendek, who's been there since the beginning, just because Hornquist, who is also one of those low leads that I was mentioning earlier, was a 7th round pick, and he's almost 70 overall at 20, which is pretty good. So I want him to be the backup to whoever is in the minors, which I think is still Wallstead. So we will sign up Hornquist, and Tendek we will let you go to free agency, and we'll also let go of Pandolfo because he's not going to really pan out. And then also UFA goalie-wise, Wayman I think is on his way out for sure. Just because I'm not really sold on him right now. Because yes, he's good during the regular season somewhat, but his goals against average is always right around 3, which is not that great. But we might end up bringing him back in free agency. So for now, I'm going to let him go. But if you guys think we should bring him back, let me know down below. But let's advance the day and see if we get all those guys, because we do have some important ones, especially to look for in Hayden, especially. Let's go through this fastly and see if there's any rejections. Hayden and Dobson both rejected, okay. But everybody else is pretty much good, so we just need to get these 2 big boys back. I wouldn't mind giving Hayden multiple years, because he's not a bad player. Like, how much points did he have this last season? He had 77 points this year, which was his career best. But he could be on statistical growth. He's a pretty solid player to have around. I'm going to give him still a 1-year deal just for now. We'll give him $10 million, which might be an overpay. but I would like to keep him around for 1 year at least to try and help us get to a cup. And then, like I said, Dobson I'd like to keep around for now because he was pretty solid in his first season with us. 29 points plus 14. Eventually we could always move on from him, but for now I'd like to keep him around. So we'll give him also a 1-year deal again. And let's try and give him a little bit more than he's asking for because we have the cap space anyways. Let's advance a day, and we got them back, I think. No, Hayden still has not accepted. We do have 17 million now, which is good. We will still try and get Hayden for, let's give him 10.4. It might be an overpay, but it's just for 1 year. And he probably should accept that. Yes, he does. Okay, perfect. We have 8 million in cap space, and all these guys are going to definitely sign for 2-way contracts, which is good. Unsigned wise, I'm not going to sign any of these guys yet because DeMaio can't even play in the AHL yet. So, but yeah, I think the rest of these guys I'm not going to sign yet. Even Kagorodov, I'm going to let them develop in their respective leagues for another year. But we have 8 million in cap space, and pretty much all we need is, I would assume, probably just a goalie. Because right now, in terms of forwards for our NHL team, we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 potentially right there. And then 13, 14. So technically 2 of those guys on our NHL roster would be scratched. So in that sense, I don't know how Varlamov and Schultz both make it into this NHL team. Which means, do we trade one of them away and use one as a depth forward? I really don't know. Or do we get rid of somebody else like Zadina randomly and try and find a way to upgrade our defensive core? Because we could always do that. Because defensively we look pretty solid, but we probably could always move away from a defenseman and try and upgrade like that second pairing a bit. Because Chikrin and Soderstrom are both really good, but then you get into Dobson and Samorukov, it starts to drop off a bit. And then I still like Schneider, and I obviously like Tukinen a lot because he's still young. And then goalie-wise, we definitely could still use a goalie. I don't want to use Wallstedt as our NHL backup, but I would like to use Pettersson probably as our starting goalie. So we could probably use a goalie and maybe a depth defenseman. And then that's probably all we really need. And like I said, we could probably trade away a forward if we really want to, considering we do have 14 forwards. And I don't really want to scratch both of those younger guys if I can or not. So let's take a look at what's available in free agency. And then that'll be pretty much it for this episode. Actually, I'll also show you guys the trade and block, that type of thing. Just in case there's any trades that we want to make. Because maybe we want to make an off-season move. Because we haven't done one of those in a while. Okay, so I think all those RFAs probably already accepted. How much contract spaces do we got? We have 7 contract spaces, which is good. And all our RFAs accepted. So everybody is back in re-signed, which is good. And let's take a look at what is available in free agency. See if there's anything interesting in the goalie front or for maybe other positions, and then we could trade away players. But let's start off with centers and sort by UFAs only because I don't care about the RFAs. So the best UFA available is Jack Hughes, which you guys told me to trade for before, but I didn't. Don't really know if there's a slot where we could put Jack Hughes in. I don't know if he's an upgrade over somebody like Barrett Hayden, but yeah, I don't know. Suzuki's also there. Kovanov's there, the guy that just literally beat us and won a Stanley Cup in Minnesota. I don't know if he fits our team, though. No, he doesn't really. Verhaeghe's there. Dubois. Looks like some pretty good centermen. Not that we really need forwards, but in case you guys wanted me to pick up somebody and then get rid of somebody on our roster, like Shane Pinto's there as well, which wouldn't be a bad option for the bottom 6. Left wing wise, the best is Gurionov. There's also Jason Robertson, so some former Dallas Stars players. Drouin, Farabee's there. Yeah, there's some definitely good forwards if we actually want to get rid of somebody on a roster. But like I said, I'd like to keep our younger guys together if I can. Line A is the best right winger available. Geez, you want 7x12, which is a lot. Or 12x7, I should say. Kakko's also there. Kapanen, Terry, Thomas, Patrick Kane's in free agency. Yeah, this is a really good free agent pool. This might be one of the best free agencies we've seen in a while. And then defensively, if we want to upgrade our defense, we'd probably have to get rid of somebody on our defensive core. And then there's Adam Boquist. It doesn't fit our defensive core really, though. Mort Sider's available. Jacob Slavin, Dermott, Ristolainen, Barry. when I was looking at our defensive core, I realized we have a lot of two-way defensemen, so maybe we need an OFD, maybe we need a DFD, something like that, to make our defensive core actually assimilate a little bit better. Lassie Thompson's there. And then goalie-wise, who's the best goalies available? Vasilevsky. I don't have the cap space, but if I found a way to free up cap space, actually Connor Hellebuyck's there too. There's two really good goalies available, and then we could use our medium elite as their backup. I know Connor Hellebuyck just won a Stanley Cup and just destroyed us in the playoffs. So he might drop off throughout the season, and that might not be a good signing to make. But there is definitely some really good goalies available. Like, if we could somehow make the cap space up to get Vasilevsky, that would be amazing. It probably wouldn't make us win a Stanley Cup, though, because we would probably simulate too good. But, yeah, Vasilevsky simulates like a god usually in these type of franchise modes. So maybe we really want to bring him in, if we can. Because he wants, how much for just 1 year, out of curiosity? 8.7. So, yeah, that's a bit more than we have. We'd have to free up some cap space, and then we could sign him. But that might not be a good move to make. I don't really know. Let's just take a look if there's any potential players to sign for the AHL. There's a medium elite, but he's probably not going to pan out, I would assume. Sebastian Cossa. Defensively, there is a low elite in Rutu. Interesting. Nothing else there on terms of wingers. Yeah, there's not really a whole lot for potential prospects. There's a couple low elites here. 77 and 20 years of age. Wow. Is this guy an RFA, though? I mean, this guy's a UFA. The Colorado Avalanche let go of this guy. And well, actually, no, they didn't. Why does it say Colorado Eagles, though? And he was undrafted. Okay, so I guess Colorado signed him to an AHL contract, but he was undrafted. He grew to a 77, and then they just decided to let him go. So I think that guy needs to get signed for the AHL, which is kind of weird if we want to do that. Because we don't really need forwards down there in the minors, but we could always sign him. There's also Ebbett, who's a 61 at 20, so not as good, but Shishkinov is really good. And then center-wise, there's Santovari, but he's 21. So not really much in terms of centers. Let's take a quick look at the trading block, and then I think that will be it for this episode. Just to see what is out there in case we want to make any trades. Brady Shea, not really much of an upgrade on our defensive core. Jan-Mark Dahlin on 5 years left, though. Geez, if that was 1 year left, maybe that'd be intriguing, but 5 years, no thank you. Mario Ferraro, Josh Brook, and Jesper Boquist, so some pretty good players there in Buffalo. Mangiapane on 1 year left, Valimaki, Bouchard, Brown, and Stetcher. So it looks like a lot of defensemen on multi-year deals and a couple forwards on 1 year deals. Kevin LeBlanc, not bad, or LeBanc, whatever you want to say. I don't know why I say LeBlanc. Gabe Landeskog on 1 year left. That's not too bad. I did have Gabe Landeskog in Detroit, and he didn't win us a cup, I'm pretty sure. So I don't really know if getting Gabe Landeskog would help us out or not. He does fit our second line, which is interesting, and our power play lines. So if we wanted to trade for Landeskog, it would probably take a lot to get somebody like him. We could actually look at the trade finder after this for Landeskog, because maybe that's something we want to do and then get rid of like Dylan Genther. I don't really know. Bring in a veteran to help us out. Rupe Hintz and Tyler Seguin in Dallas. Some picks in Detroit. Prospects that don't really matter. Monahan, Reinhardt, Hosang, and some picks in Florida. Nothing in LA. Nothing in Minnesota. Butcher, Pedersen, Grzelcyk, Clefbaum in Montreal. So a lot of defensemen there. Forsberg, got 1 year left, is not bad either. Fabro, Krug. New Jersey has Mitch Marner on the block, but 4 years left is like, no, thank you. Alexiak, Wilson, Ryan Johansson. So this looks like it's going to be a crazy offseason. A lot of good players in free agency and a lot of good players on the trading block. Artem Zub on 1 year left is also pretty good. He's a really good defensive defenseman in real life, but I don't know how he simulates in franchise mode because I've never had him before. Hampus Lindholm, Devon Tays, or Devon Tays, I should say. This guy's a goat in real life, but doesn't fit our team really, unfortunately. Nothing in Philadelphia, nothing in Pittsburgh, nothing in San Jose. Seattle has nothing. Bennington's on the block, still making 4.7. Nothing in Tampa, nothing in Toronto. Josh Norris, Elias Pettersson on the block, but 3 years left at 11 is expensive. there is definitely some good players out there if we actually want to make a trade. Like, we could get rid of Zadina if we really want to, and then upgrade Zadina into Landeskog. I don't know if that would be much of an upgrade, though, because Landeskog could drop off. So, yeah, there's a lot of options out there for free agency and trading-wise if we really want to do so. Let me just take a look at what it would take to get somebody like Landeskog on this team if we actually wanted to trade for Landeskog. Like I said, he could drop off, though. It would take somebody like Noah Dobson in a third and a fourth, which is not bad because then we could technically upgrade our defensive core from Noah Dobson on that second pairing. So that's not a bad trade offer. I wouldn't mind doing that, but I don't really know if it's something we could do. Because like I said, if we do bring in Landeskog or somebody like that, we would have to get rid of somebody on our top six, which means probably getting rid of Zadina or Genther. Zadina actually has a little bit more trade value. So for Zadina, we would be able to fetch like second round picks, which is kind of weird that only second round picks is what we could get from him. Maybe it's because of the term he has. I expected a little bit more. For Genther, we could probably get the exact same type of thing, which is kind of weird. Interesting. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Arizona Coyotes franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to free agency. We might make some trades. We might make some new signings to help out our team even more so for next year. And hopefully this team could make it past the first round next year. So let me know what you think down below. And I'll see you guys next time.